Right Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial on this channel. So today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to go about this beautiful dress right here. So you can see we have a yoke into this dress, and the yoke is actually a plunge yoke with its peplum. Okay, so you can use it for a jumpsuit, you can use it for a full gown, you can use it for a skirt and a blouse as you desire. So right here I have my basic bodice pattern, and this is the shoulder line, okay, and this is the center front. So I'm just making this pattern for the front, okay. Like I always say, the back pattern is not an issue. So here I have my natural neckline drafted, and that is what we are going to use to attach the mandarin collar, which you are seeing right there on the thumbnail. So to begin this tutorial, you can see I've already marked out my bust radius. My bust radius is the difference I have from the bust point. This is the bust point line, and this is the under bust point line. This is my chest line, and this is the waistline. Okay, that is your half length. So from here to here, you measure from here to here, you have 3.5, and you place your tape like this and make your dotted 3.5 line. So this is the area at which your bust is going to sit. So if you have been following Right Fashion Academy YouTube channel, you understand we always do this at any point in time. This serves as a guide for us, both in determining how deep we want our neckline to be and how to pad our busting. So right now, the next thing I want to do is to divide my shoulder seam line. So if I divide my shoulder seam line, this is what I have right here, and I'm going to connect this to the bust point directly. So this is my bust, the connection. So the next thing we want to do is to determine the plunge neckline. So this plunge neckline is actually going to run from the upper part of this line. So how I'm going to determine this is we have our bust radius line. On this line, this is the dotted bust radius line. On this line, this is where we have it. I'm going to step up by 1.5, okay, or 2 inches. It depends on how deep or how low. So let me just do 2 inches. Okay, you can also do 1.5. So from the bust radius, I came up by 2 inches, and then I'll flip my ruler to the armhole like this and connect that point as pointy as it is at that point. The plunge neckline runs all the way from the under bust line. You can also go down by 1 inch if you want, but for this tutorial I'll be using the under bust line. So this is how I'm going to connect. I'm connecting like this. So once I place my ruler and connect, this is my chest line. I need to determine how wide I want that plunge neckline to open at the chest line. So here I'm making use of 2 inches for it. So by the time it opens as it is in the thumbnail, you have it at 4 inches. So I'll just place my pattern ruler this way, as you can see, from the under bust to the 2 inches, and I connect back to that line. So what we have right here is our yoke design for this particular dress. So now it's time for us to start contouring both under bust and bust line. So to contour the under bust and the over bust, I'll place my tape on the center front of the under bust and measure my under bust very firmly. Whatever figure I have, I'll divide by 4. So my under bust round circumference is 35 inches. Divide by 4 is 8.75. So what I have left here, I'm going to put 0.25, that is a quarter, and the rest of 1.25, I will impute it right there. So I'm going to contour the under bust first. So this is how I go about my under bust contouring, like this, like that, as you can see. So once that is done, I'm going to connect back to the dart leg. So my dart intake here is 1.5, please. So when you are drafting your pattern, okay, ensure you have 1.5 inches right here. It helps in snatching your underbust very, very firmly. So we are done contouring the underbust. The next thing we want to do is to go over to overbust contouring. For you to contour the overbust, you'll be placing your tape on the neckline. This is the neckline right here, as you can see, and I'm going to take 0.75. I will mark. I'll come over here, 0.75. I will mark. So from here to here, 0.75. From here to here, 0.75. Exactly the same way you go about your neckline if it goes this way. So your contour over bust has to be on the neckline. So since the neckline has this kind of V shape or pointed shape, you will take 0.75 here, 0.75 here as well. So like this, I contour my over bust, and like this, I contour my over bust, as you can see. So this is what I'm going to cut off as the over bust. That can you see that? So it's as simple as that. So you know what we have here is the bust that. So the bust that is the difference between your front and back. Of course, if you have been following this channel, you will know how that is gotten. So another special part I want you to pay more attention is the peplum part. That peplum part you are seeing right there is not just the normal peplum that we usually have, okay? So this peplum is going to be constructed right here on the paper. So here I am making my peplum drafting. So it's a special kind of peplum. If you notice, you can see we don't have that flay effect. So if you want to go and start making the normal peplum, you know, and giving it a flay effect, at the end of the day, you might not have that result. So from the waist or the center front, I'm going to come down by 8 inches and I'll mark. That is the length of this peplum, okay? And once I've marked the 8 inches, I'm going to draw a straight line. Okay, let me just make this 8 inches to define the length of the peplum. So this is my 8 inches, and I'm going to make a straight line to it. So I would love to change my marker for this part of the peplum from the waist to the above the hip line. So this is the waist center front. I'll simply come in by 1 inch, or let me do 1.25. So once the peplum is set apart, we will have 2.5. That is the gap, as you are seeing right there on the thumbnail. So I'm going to do this. This is it. From here, I will mark. That is the shape of the peplum. But once it comes to this other part of the peplum, I'm going to extend my line. This is what I'm going to do. I will extend this line, and I will measure what I have on the waist. On the waistline right here, minus the darts. I'm going to minus the dart when I'm doing this, okay? Or simply, I will do this so we don't alter this pattern. This is the dart. I'll bring the dart down. Okay, you understand why we are doing this at the end of the day. So we know that we have everything in order. So I'm measuring everything now. Since I brought down the dart down, I have 10.5. I'll come here. I'll also mark 10.5. So at this 10.5, that is where I'm going to add my extension, my peplum extension. So I'm adding 3. It depends on how pointy you want it to be. Let me do 4. Okay, so if it's too pointy for you, you can reduce it. So if I do 4, this is what I have. But then I want you to note that from this 4, I'm going to come up from that 4 inches by 2 inches, because that peplum you are seeing right there is actually not on the same length with the center front. You can even come up a little more. I can decide to come up by 3 inches. I don't know whether, okay, let's do 2.5. So this is 2.5. Okay, so let's work with 2.5. So I'm going to place my pattern ruler this way, from this point to this point, and I'm going to connect this peplum. Can you see? So the peplum has the exact shape you are seeing right there on the thumbnail, and that is all for this peplum. Okay, so I will mark out and cut out the peplum area. So the back, if you are drafting your back from the waist back length, also extend 4 inches. Exactly what I did here. Extend it. So by the time you sew both of them together, after staying, you need to stay with your peplum stay for it to stand exactly the way you are seeing right there on the thumbnail. So this is what I'm going to do for the peplum part. Because we are done with it, I'll just cut it off before we go ahead to close up and bust that and over bust that. So I'm just cutting off the peplum part. So this is the peplum part. I'll just cut this way. Once I get here up to this point, I'll just cut that way. Can you